This is the story of Berlin's second act. The city was pulverized in World War II. It then suffered almost 30 years, from 1961 until 1989, of stagnant and humiliating partition, cut off economically and physically from the West. Now it seems, the city was just biding its time. What appeared for so long to be a vast and awkward reconstruction site has undergone a miraculous transformation. And Berlin is again one of Europe's crown jewels. The Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church. Only its shell survived the bombing raids of World War II. Berlin decided to keep the carcass of the 18th century church as is, as a reminder of the terrible toll of warfare. It's as if to say, this must never happen again. In a way, this is architecture as social conscience. What has been rebuilt in Berlin are the great shopping sites that still line the Kurfürstendamm. This street used to lead to the palace of the Elector of Prussia, the Kurfürst. Damm is the word for an elevated road, a dike. The Kudamm, as it's always called, has been a bulwark of capitalism since the 19th century. People have always spent money here, and as this was in West Berlin, all that continued during the dark years of the Wall. But nothing symbolizes the rebirth of Berlin like the new corporate megaliths that poke up out of the old Potsdamer Platz. It takes its name from the old Potsdam Gate, through which the road to the village of Potsdam used to run. Here, in an area once sliced in two by the Berlin Wall, is a veritable gallery of contemporary architecture. It's got the Sony Tower, and the Sony Center, designed by the German-American architect Helmut Jahn, with its central glass roof meant to resemble Mount Fuji, in honor of the origin of all things Sony. The overall plan was originated by the Italian Renzo Piano, and features high-end office space, shopping, and residences. This is the old European formula, space for working and living together, with a premium on social space. There are some places in Berlin that have managed to stand the test of time. The foundations of the city. This is KaDeWe, the largest department store in Europe. Its name is a contraction of Kaufhaus des Westens, the department store of the West. There's nothing you can't buy at KaDeWe. Built in 1907, its motto was, "Where the customer is king, and the king is a customer." Its food hall is its glory, and takes up the entire 6th floor. This is said to be the widest and wildest assortment of foods in all Europe. During the dark years of partition, KaDeWe was considered a beacon of capitalism deep inside the hungry heart of communism. To those few East Germans and Russians who managed to stroll through here, refugees from a world of rationing and sacrifice, KaDeWe represented everything that was right and wrong about the West. Berlin is a place where things happen, because it's strategically located on the fulcrum between East and West. As a result, a great many international corporations have moved their European headquarters here, especially music companies like Sony and Universal Music. A typical executive working this brave new world is Patricia Papelbaum, a record producer. She works at Universal in its impressive new building on the River Spree, where it glides through the center of the city. After she worked freelance in music for several years, Universal recognized Patricia's talents and brought her in from the cold. Today, she produces work by a number of artists, including the very hot DJ Hell, a techno music artist from Munich. Still in this business, it's not so much the acts you have on board, but the unknowns you take on board. In any case, the more acts you produce, the more money you make. The musician Patricia is looking to sign to her label is called Sarah. Sarah hasn't signed with any other studio yet, so Patricia and Universal have a pretty good shot at her.
I emailed her on August 29th, suggesting that we make her life easier and her career happen. She agreed to let us do half, which includes her concerts and CDs. I think we should tell her Universal is ready to finalize her contract.
Universal Music moved to Berlin from Hamburg in 2002 because Berlin was suddenly the musical epicenter of Germany. If you were going to make any sort of musical splash, Berlin was the place to do it. And in no time, some of the world's best-known musicians sought representation at Universal. Patricia looks German, and she speaks German like a Berliner, but she's actually Polish.
I'll work in New York, Tokyo, anywhere as long as I can work in music, preferably techno music, my favorite.
Berlin is the cosmic center of the techno universe. For a music producer, there are zero boundaries between life and work.
Come on in. Well, this is it. My house. I've been living here since February. Here's my living room. And this is my music CD collection. I work with records, too. Here's all the tools of my trade. And the stereo.
And, of course, the phone. Because Berlin is a city on the move with a booming market, there is very little time off from work. In Patricia's business, the office is always open. Because so many of her clients perform at night, it's not uncommon for Patricia to work into the wee hours of the morning.
Okay, danke.
Her mobile phone means that her office is everywhere, and Patricia always has to be on her toes.
Patricia, hallo. Ja, wow, danke für den Rückruf. Super. Großartig. Geht es um die Gästeliste heute Abend? Okay, ich muss mal kurz gucken.
The dream job in the dream city. That's what Patricia has. In a way, it's hard to think of this as a real job. A bit of PR, a bit of networking, and a whole lot of locating needles in haystacks. But get over it. This is the new world of prospecting, where the right find can mean millions in profits. And Berlin is where it's happening. thing that Germany is known for the world over is design. From cars to furniture and fashion, German designers have changed the look and feel of the modern world. A driving force in this direction was Walter Gropius, who founded the Bauhaus School of Design in 1919. In all things, Gropius and his colleagues emphasized simplicity as a source of elegance. The iconic Vasily chair was designed by Marcel Breuer in 1925. This lamp, in 1923, was designed by Willem Wagenfeld. The point was always no decoration, no waste of materials, no flash, just honest materials and honest workmanship. In Berlin, the elegant white Bauhaus Archive Museum houses the high points of the 14-year run of the school. It seems so simple, it's effortless. The gentle repeated rhythms of windows, doors, and balconies. Everything in proportion, everything scaled just right. The school was closed by the Nazi Party in 1933 for being a nursery for troublesome, decadent art. This boathouse building on the Elbe River was built in 1920. A Bauhaus classic, it was recently restored and is used today as a restaurant, using Bauhaus furnishings, ceramics, and flatware. Before it moved to Berlin in 1931, the Bauhaus was in the town of Dessau, about an hour away. Walter Gropius's Dessau Employment Agency was built in 1926, just after German politics had forced the school to move from Weimar. Perhaps it was in response to the unfairness of the move that the building is such a triumph. We usually think of Bauhaus as primarily about straight lines, but here, as in the boathouse, the natural and mathematical beauty of curves are celebrated. Because of the building's design, and also the significance of the Bauhaus movement, UNESCO added this building to its World Heritage List in 1996. Bauhaus-inspired design is today making a comeback in the Mitte district of Berlin. Mitte is the old medieval conglomeration of streets, buildings, alleyways, and plazas. The word Mitte means central in German, and so it's fitting that it's become the creative heart of Berlin. It's got a great many cutting-edge designers and their workshops and stores, turning out felt cocoons for babies, eyeglasses with breakaway parts, body wraps where once there were dresses, messenger bags made of heavy-duty sailcloth, honest shoes that respect your feet and the earth you walk on. Mitte makes for an abrupt contrast. Designers working here are pushing the envelope of modernism, but everywhere you look, you can see the influence of practical Bauhaus design, even on the streets. In every city, bike messengers are known by their special bags, a sort of badge of office. Part shoulder bag, part backpack. But Berlin these days has got a brand new bag. They're made of construction sheeting, the durable material used to wrap buildings. The company is called Bagjack, one of the hottest new firms in Mitte. The designer, Peter Brunsberg, used to work for a delivery service. But he hated the way ordinary bags fit and had to be constantly shifted about. So he sewed up a new design for himself. In no time, Peter was making bags for all his friends. So many bags, in fact, that he put down his kickstand for good and invested in a clutch of sewing machines. This is the first BagJack product. It all began right here. Now, Peter turns out a wide variety of bags for professional and recreational use. This medical bag will one day save lives. It houses a portable pacemaker in a package that is extremely durable. Even if it's dropped, it's designed to withstand impact. The stunning thing about the bag's design is that it uses recycled sheets from finished buildings. And since he uses parts of the sheets that were printed with big graphics, it means that every bag is different. Peter's strength is that he has an intimate knowledge of what bag users need. He listens to and works closely with all his special order clients. Ultimately, this is what makes good design: listening to users. That is, if it functions well, the design will usually be beautiful, and that is the essence of good design. At Hut Up, another Midda design shop, the clothing of Christine Burkle is driven by her clever rediscovery of a very old fabric, felt. In felt, a baby comforter seems the very definition of coziness. And so do booties, and the softest of soft toys. And any number of surprising products, like cell phone covers or egg warmers.
This is our best seller, an egg warmer. In Germany, we actually cover boiled eggs. They go right on top, just like a little pointed hat.
Felt can be made of any matted fibers, but Christine is partial to cotton.
In Germany, felt was never really popular. It was rough to the touch and of low quality. But my felt is the softest. People love to touch it. The baby felts are 100% cotton.
Felt is a non-sewn and non-woven cloth made by pressing fibers together. In fact, the invention of felt is said to be ancient. People once stuffed wool fibers into their sandals before long treks. Afterward, they found foot-shaped patches of soft matted felt underneath. The rest is history. Felt is thus the oldest fabric known to man. In it, the matted fibers give structure to the whole, which is why felt can stand on its own. This strength makes felt very unusual. Its garments are not sewn, but molded. You can have dresses with none of those annoying seams. Christine uses a combination of steam and pressing to make her felt. For some of her more radical designs, to give a sense of varying textures and thicknesses, Christine tears the fabric and adds bits almost randomly. After the felt is made, it's a matter of cutting it into different shapes. They can be steam molded into finished products. Bags, hats, jewelry, and toys. In fact, there's something toy-like and witty about all Christine's designs. As if they're aware that they are amusing.
Auch gefilzt aus einem Stück mit kleinen Fenstern eingearbeitet.
That's another point about good design. It enjoys attracting attention to itself. Ralph Anderl wants to turn the world of sunglasses on its head. He manages a company called IC Berlin that produces high-end glasses. For starters, the name of the company, IC, is a pun in two languages. In French, it's EC, which means here. In English, it's IC, which is precisely what you want glasses for. The glasses are made entirely of snap-on parts. There are no screws. Instead, a clever stainless steel mechanism makes the glasses easy to assemble or disassemble. In which case, the lenses can double as soup spoons. The temples as chopsticks.
You see clearly, right ahead, perfect fit, and no matter what you do, they are not coming off your head.
For storage, the shop uses in-flight food service carts, themselves a great example of solid, sensible design.
I wanted the glasses to reflect the lifestyle of a hip new Berlin. At first, I handcrafted the original pattern out of aluminum, but it didn't go over very well. Then I submitted it to a great many exhibitions to try to attract buyers and distributors. And again, nobody jumped on board because the design was apparently too expensive to manufacture. And then, fortunately, a firm from southern Germany worked with us to design it again so that the glasses could be mass-produced quickly and easily. In 1996, I finally started getting orders. And that led to where we are today, a big success. Now we produce 50 kinds of glasses for clients all over the world.
What the Bauhaus School prompted was curiosity and cleverness from its designers, questioning the essential nature of products and designs. For instance, if clothes are meant to wrap the body in comfort and style, well, why not let them do that? Hence, the designer Troy Dobsky. His clothes are literally wraps.
This is a legging dress, which fits your legs. It has a lot of snaps. You can wear it differently by working the snaps in various combinations. Even pulling the sleeves up, like so. Doesn't the whole look seem daring?
even when he has to think beyond buttons or snaps, that too can be rethought with style and flair. Chopsticks. It's opposites brought together, wood and fabric. And out of the surprising combination comes fashion.
It looks simple, but with just a few touches, you can change its shape into many great new looks.
Dobsky's point is to maximize the effect of the fabric, to let it star for once instead of its wearer. And ironically, he's found that the body still has a way of making its presence known and admired. Clothes are a kind of shelter from the storm, and a wrap satisfies some ancient, unacknowledged need deep inside us, possibly making us feel good in ways we don't fully understand. The designer shoe store Trippin has been in Mytta since before the area was refurbished. In fact, you could say the regeneration of the whole area followed closely on Trippin's heels. Trippin makes shoes that are meant to be seen as wrapping the feet. Just like the original principles of Bauhaus design, this work is simple, sensible, and creates a minimum of waste in its manufacture. Their sandals have wooden bottoms, but the slight curvature makes for easy walking, and the leather straps hug and wrap the foot. It's good design, with no sacrifice of comfort. Angela Spieth is the original Trippin designer.
To satisfy my customers, I produce tough, durable shoes. If the bottom of our shoe breaks or wears out, it can be easily replaced. We make a great effort to get the stitches just right with 2 rows of stitching. You stitch the undersole first, then the outer sole, so that when you turn the shoe over, all you see is the 1 row of outer stitching.
It's one thing to have good-looking fashions, but shoes especially have to take a pounding. Originally, Angela approached a great many shoe factories with her designs and was universally rejected. Until she met the shoemaker Michael Oler. Michael is now a co-owner of Trippin.
It's difficult to walk in shoes with flat, unbending wooden soles, so I put soft rubber under it. I also want to use biodegradable materials as much as possible. It's all natural and no waste. I want to be always thinking about the side effects of the shoes I build. We need to use the most effective materials in the most efficient ways. It's all about the right materials. And there's a mechanical connection between the upper and the soles, because the straps are nailed rather than glued. Nails are better for the earth than glue. And dye stamping the leather makes it more durable. It's ecologically sound.
For instance, though the shoes are handmade, there's much more stitching than gluing. They make an effort to minimize the use of adhesives. The 15 Trippin workers make all the shoes by hand, for sales here and around the world. The work is based on the traditional system of masters and their apprentices. But at Trippen, it's not overbearing. Both experts and beginners work together to turn out the best product possible. It's so very fitting to the age-old craftsman who once made Medieval Mitte a great place to work and live. When we return, it's a new Berlin, the rebirth of a city. A meeting place for global cultures, what the Germans like to call their multi-culti look. This is Berlin today, a place known to resound with far different sights and sounds than ever before, and aromas too. These days, there are 82 million German citizens. Of them, over 2 million are Turks, originally invited as guest workers, Gastarbeiter. They like the life here so much, they stayed. Most German Turks live in Berlin. A great many of them own and operate food shops, preparing Turkish cuisine as well as selling the special ingredients needed to cook it. It's not too much to say that Turkish food is now a German addiction. Kebab shops are everywhere. This one has been managed by the same Turkish family for 16 years, a pioneer in the trade. In Turkish, kebab means grilled meat. The meat is sliced off the constantly rotating vertical roaster, and it's served in pita bread, which Germans call Fladenbrot, or flatbread. The new food took a great deal of trust on both sides, cooks and customers.
At first, we had to make some adjustments to the kebabs to suit the Berliner palate. And so, here's a kebab with red and white cabbage, Berlin style. Germans have to have their cabbage. But this one is with tomato and onion, Turkish style.
This is Nofi, a Turkish deli on Bergmann Street in the wildly popular Kreuzberg area of Berlin. Nofi stocks a wide range of goods, including Turkish food, seafood, wine, and just about anything their customers ask them to keep on hand. Actually, they serve a blend of Turkish and Middle East fare, which makes the shop even more popular. The Oysdak family, also Turkish immigrants, often shop at Nofi. They moved to Germany 30 years ago and were both brought up in Berlin. Mrs. Oysdak is so busy at her job that she often comes to Nofi to buy takeout meals. But it's not just the Near East that contributed to the cultural rebirth of Berlin. It's the Far East as well. Dietmar Lenz is German, but his wife is from Korea. Lenz has been interested in Asia since his college days. He seldom eats German food. He tends to eat more Asian food than anything else. On a tatami mat, and not at a table, is where Mr. Lenz feels most comfortable eating. Today they come to the Korean grocery for veggies and tofu. For her part, Mrs. Lenz is doing chaozies, pot sticker meat pies.
When my wife went home for a 2-week visit to Korea, I just cooked cans of soup. What can I say? Without her, we can't have Korean food.
Everywhere you look in Berlin, there are new tastes and new inviting aromas. South America is the latest addition to the mix. Zuma Lemes is a dancer from Brazil. Her husband Marcel Royo is a pianist from Argentina. Royo's father has come all the way from Argentina to celebrate his 70th birthday in Berlin. Naturally, the cuisine is a mixture of Brazilian veggies and Argentine meats. Oven-roasted pumpkin and shrimp is no German dish. The family live in an old house they've refurbished. It's Heimisch or homey in the German way, but not in any way that would have been recognized in the past. This is what family is all about. And what could be more fitting than a homemade birthday cake prepared for Mrs. Lemes's father-in-law? A number of artist colleagues representing a great many ethnic strands have joined the celebration. The phrase Tower of Babel comes to mind. Still, in no time, all the dishes are set out on the floor, and the conversation is rolling. All this, very much, is the new Berlin. Music, like food, is also improved and expanded by foreign and cross-cultural contact. Berlin has a vast number of entertainment venues, offering recitals, musical comedy, dance, jazz, and, well, everything under the sun. Its heyday was the period between the two world wars, when artists and writers and intellectuals poured into the city from Paris, London, and New York. But World War II said goodbye to all that. Today, the music and live entertainment scene is once again robust. All manner of acts appear on the stages of the city's variety clubs, and by variety, they mean everything. Ventriloquists, tightrope walkers, and musical comedy acts. Variety clubs once took Berlin by storm, with some 160 venues in the 1930s, the most famous of which was the old Winter Garden. Now the new Winter Garden on the Ku'damm is again at full throttle. In the end, Berlin is the city of Beethoven and Mozart, of Wagner and Kurt Weill. Music is the queen of the arts, and opera the high note of music itself. Opera is important to Berlin. Tonight's offering is Puccini's 1926 masterpiece, Turandot. It's all to do with a riddle to win the hand of the princess. A wrong answer gets the royal thumbs down. Still, hope springs eternal. This is timeless art on a timeless stage. Like Berlin itself, opera preserves and celebrates and learns from the past. In the best sense, all culture is like that, the collective memory of people and places, which makes Berlin very much like a vast memory vault for its citizens and for its visitors alike. This city has seen a lot, survived a lot. It knows where it's been, and seems to understand the path to a prosperous future.